All right, so big news in the NBA literally the day before the highly anticipated opening night. We had a large number of contract extensions happen. So obviously Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Alperen Şengün, a number of different players accepted big time contract extensions. There's also Corey Kispert with the Wizards. Just wanted to kind of throw that in there because I am a Wizards fan, wanted to mention that. But a lot of different extensions and things going on. Right now, that kind of puts us at a point where we're questioning the value of certain players, right? The conversation becomes, is this guy worth this contract, right? Does this guy's play reflect the contract that he is receiving? Big thing that is kind of falling on is Jonathan Kuminga, who actually did not end up reaching an agreement with his team as far as contract extension conversations go. And that thing has been going on for a minute between him and Golden State. So obviously Kuminga had a number in mind, which pretty much was about max contract level. And the Warriors obviously did not meet that number. I think they did end up offering him something else, but his team turned it down. And so now they're at the stalemate where Kuminga is eligible or will be a free agent this upcoming summer and will stick here on his rookie deal. Very weird situation for a team that is looking to contend. And I think it's just one extra burden on this team that I don't think they need as they're trying to get back into title contention conversations, especially considering how important Jonathan Kuminga is to their operation. I said this before. I think Jonathan Kuminga is the X factor for this Warriors team. If this team wants to get over the hump and get back to being a championship contending team, they need somebody to emerge as a reliable secondary shot creator type of guy. They don't have Klay Thompson anymore. Draymond Green is not in his prime, and he was never a shot creator at all in the first place. So somebody has to fill that role. It could be Buddy Hield. It could be Andrew Wiggins when he's back, but it could also be Jonathan Kuminga. That's what you drafted him for, right? Like they picked him a couple years ago with the 7th overall pick in the draft from the G League, and he has progressed year in and year out. One thing I love about Kuminga is the more minutes he's gotten, the more he's been able to prove himself. One of the biggest storylines for the Warriors last season was there was a little bit of a dispute between Kuminga and Steve Kerr regarding his minutes. That was kind of a thing also over the last couple of seasons. And we've seen when Kuminga is in the game and when he's given more minutes over time, his production does increase. And one thing you love about Kuminga is he just continues to get better season in and season out. He's not a guy who's like been stagnant for his entire career. Every time Kuminga gets on the court year in, year out, he gets better. One thing I love so far that we actually saw through the preseason was an ability to knock down shots from beyond the three-point line. He was never a prolific three-point shooter, and one thing he seemingly added to his game is an attack from outside the three-point line. The shot looks great. He was knocking down shots off the catch and off the dribble. That is definitely going to be something that's going to be huge for the Warriors as they need him to operate as this big-time shot creator next to Stephen Curry, especially if they're trying to win minutes with Curry being on the bench. That's going to be huge, and that looks like that's a big development in his game. Per the preseason, per what we saw, again, that's relatively low volume. We'll see if that's something that's going to be sustainable throughout the entirety of the season. But from the looks of it, that's something that he's adding into his game. So that's one thing I love about Kuminga. The next thing you can kind of talk about with the contract number that he had in mind, your question is, was he a little bit too high up, right? Was he looking for more than what he was worth? My answer to that is yes. I think so, right? I think right now with Kuminga, there is some confusion on his upside. While I do like his progression, while I do like that he has improved on things year in, year out, your question is, what type of player can Kuminga end up being? Can he be a franchise level guy? Can he actually be a consistent second option on a contender, which is, like I said, what I think the Warriors need him to be this season if they want to get to where they need to get at? Those are the questions people have right now about Kuminga is they're not sure about what his upside truly is. And there is clearly a discrepancy between what he thought his upside was and what Golden State thought his upside was. I saw Sham say this actually on NBA Today when reporting on the situation, and Kuminga sees himself as having a Kawhi Leonard type of upside. That is big time, right? Like Kawhi Leonard in his prime is a top 3 player in the NBA at the absolute worst, top 5. Does Kuminga have that in him? And has he shown flashes to have that in him? Because a team is going to kind of gamble a little bit when they're investing early in a young player. right? But your question becomes, has that player even shown the upside to get at that level? So with Jalen Green, he hasn't had a perfect career so far, but the Rockets were willing to invest in him early because of the upside he showed and also the flashes that he showed, especially last season where he went on this ridiculous offensive streak. Has Kuminga showed us that upside just yet? Has he shown us the flashes of a future superstar or all-star level player? Has he shown us that just yet? That is the biggest question right now with Kuminga. Has he shown us that he can get to that level at some point in time? Has he had enough stretches to show us that he can get at that level? Right? So that's the question here is Kuminga thinks he's one sort of player, and the Warriors think that he's another sort of player. They're just not sure about what type of player he is in the first place and how to use him, right? Or what role he will truly thrive in. So that's the test right now is what is Kuminga? What is his upside? What type of player can he end up being? And that's a tough question to ask because you never know what type of player a guy can end up molding into. You never really know. Like if I look at Alperen Şengün, I didn't think he was going to be a guy that the Rockets were going to run their offense completely through at any point in time. Look at him now, and he probably is the best player on that team. So you never know what a guy ends up turning into, but still when teams are making these predictions and when front offices are making these predictions, they can go by the flashes that they've seen. And have we seen enough flashes from Kuminga to make us believe that he has this potential to be a max player, especially at this point in his career? That's the only thing. And again, I love the progression year in, year out. I love how he continues to get better season in and season out. But has he showed us yet that he can be that franchise type of guy, that he can be a consistent shot creator in big time playoff situations as the Warriors are trying to contend? That is the entire thing. And right now, I don't really like where the Warriors and Kuminga and those two parties are right now in their relationship. It's rough seeing another like core piece kind of have a really weird, rocky relationship with the front office. Obviously, we just had the situation with Klay Thompson. It wasn't like a bad relationship, but I think it was time for Thompson to move on. But again, back-to-back seasons where a big-time starter, a big-time piece in your roster isn't really seeing eye to eye with the front office, all while you are trying to contend and trying to get back to that championship level. That's where Golden State is right now, right? They're trying to get back to that level they were at in 2022. Even the offense looks a bit different, but they're still trying to contend, right? They still invested in some good veteran pieces to build around Curry to try to make something happen. This team isn't going out there just to be okay. They still believe in their heart of hearts that they want to win. But it's kind of tough knowing that one of your core pieces, again, is having this weird situation with the front office. And not only that, but there was a situation with Steve Kerr, where, as I said earlier, there were some differences in viewpoints as far as minutes go, right? And lineup usage and how he was going to be played out there on the court, right? And when he was going to be played out there on the court or how long he's going to be out there on the court, right? There were those issues as well. So Kuminga's stint here at Golden State has not been peachy clean. And so for it to kind of continue in this weird spot going into what I think is a crucial season, and is definitely going to be a season that determines really Steph Curry's future with this franchise long term. Because I don't think if they're not able to win this year or make something meaningful happen this year, you have to kind of start asking questions about where Curry's going to end up being sometime down the road, right? Is he going to be with this franchise the entire way through? Steph Curry is still playing Steph Curry level basketball. We just saw the Olympics. So it means something if he leaves or if he's not on the same page as this team next offseason. So to know there's going to be another weird situation, it's just rough, right? It's just rough knowing now it's back-to-back seasons where you're entering, not even just back-to-back, 3 consecutive seasons where you're entering the season and there are some issues with somebody in your core. There was the Draymond Green and Jordan Poole stuff. That's over with. Now you have the Klay Thompson stuff, right? Not only is he slumping, but he's getting benched. And then he ultimately ends up leaving. And now you have the situation where this young guy that you picked at 7th overall, right, that you thought had this upside and has been progressing year in and year out, now you're at a point where your relationship with him isn't all that great. And we're already talking about trade scenarios regarding Jonathan Kuminga, right? Or where he should end up going in the offseason. And for him, this is kind of good in a way because now he gets to play in the biggest role of his career and prove to us that he's worth what he thinks he's worth. So there's that side of it as well. He's playing for a big contract and there's that incentive. But still, Rough stuff here for a Warriors franchise that is trying to win and trying to get back into championship contention status. So it's going to be interesting seeing how things end up playing out the rest of the season here for Golden State and for Kuminga in particular, and also seeing what strides Kuminga takes in his game. Does he make that near all-star level leap? Does he become that 20-point per game guy on a consistent night in, night out basis? We'll see, but this Warriors storyline stuff is just going to continue to get interesting. It's been a lot of drama over the last couple of years. This season is going to get more and more interesting. It's going to get more dramatic with this Kuminga stuff, and we'll see what else ends up happening down the road. It's a new roster. It's a new look team. It's a new look offense, as I said. So we'll see how things end up turning out, but a lot of stuff to keep an eye on here for this Warriors franchise as they're looking to return to where they were at in 2022.